So I got Refinements. So you can see I have the power ridges back. I've got no attachments on these. Kind of my front core smile has no attachments on it now, which is delightful. I thought I was going to be done. I am not. This was not the video I had planned to make. I'm getting Refinements. Having Invisalign for 1.5 years was what I always had planned. And then at my maybe tray 26 appointment, I was told like everything looks really great. You're probably going to finish up on tray 29. I don't think you're going to need Refinements. Everything is looking perfect. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. The only thing that needs to happen, and I've mentioned it in the last update, the only thing that needed to happen was my bite sort itself out. And it hasn't. When I go to chew and I'm biting, it's only my 4s that are touching. And I had tray 29 in and I was like, you know, it's gonna fix itself, it's gonna sort itself. And a week went by and I was like, maybe it's still settling in, there's still time, you know, there's still time that it'll just settle itself in. Then I really tried in like the last week to eat on both sides and see how it felt, and I just naturally, all of my chewing happened on the left and I was like, it's not right. So I had an appointment scheduled to get all my attachments off, to get a permanent retainer along the bottom, plastic retainer set. The appointments were all scheduled in, and then a few days before the appointment I was like, oh, it's not right, it's not right. I can't chew on my right hand side. I can feel the pressure like pushing into the roots of my teeth when I try and eat a whole meal on my right hand side, which is not great. And I messaged my orthodontist and I basically said, things aren't right and can we sort this? He completely agreed that my bite wasn't right. They did a rescan in that appointment. Kind of nothing happened in that appointment. They just went through, you know, how my teeth look. They did a rescan. The worst part is these tray 29 that I've already had on for a few weeks, I need to keep for another 4. This was what I was told in the very beginning. This was the plan from the very beginning. I got a little bit optimistic and then I came back down to earth. I don't even feel like there's any point in me doing like a close-up on my teeth because it hasn't changed in the last few trays, honestly. It's just been like tiny little bits of my bite and nothing much else. And my bite isn't even that great, so there's that. Anyway, I'll do a teeth update because I feel like I should, but I don't think there's really anything to update on. Like, my teeth are nice and wide, like my arch is wide. This side, my bite is good on this side. They kind of go like a zipper. This side, my bite feels really good. I don't have such a big overbite anymore. I had like, I could stick my whole finger up between my teeth because I had such a big overbite before. So that has kind of sorted itself. The issue comes from this side. They don't really close. I do have one actual problem. My final set, I do not have any spares, of course. And these trays need to last me 4 weeks until my Refinement trays arrive. These trays have already been worn for a few weeks while I was waiting for my final appointment. Trays on the top have a little hairline crack. They are not gonna last another 4 weeks. Okay, just here we have the tiniest hairline crack, and this is not gonna last 4 weeks. I wasn't too sure what to do with this crack. No real idea what to do because I'd just been to the orthodontist and I was like, yep, I'll be really careful, I'll take good care of them and I'll see you in 4 weeks. And then I noticed this tiny, tiny little hairline crack. We're gonna sit on these trays for a little longer and yeah, I will update you on how things go. I am still in the transition phase between first round of trays and Refinement trays, and I got a new retainer on the top. The crack proceeded to crack, and I went to my orthodontist appointment where they gave me one of those impression jelly moulds. Nauseating, little bits of jelly all stuck around my mouth. Ugh. Anyway, off the back of that mould being taken off my teeth, I went in 1 or 2 days later and picked up this new retainer. So it is slightly thicker than the Invisalign trays. It is slightly higher up, it touches some of my gums, where the Invisalign trays are really moulded around every single individual tooth. As soon as I popped in this retainer, it felt perfect. There's only a few minor differences. I think it was the right decision to make me a retainer to tide me through, because I still had quite a few weeks to wait for Refinement trays to come in, and it wasn't gonna last. The main difference I find between my Invisalign trays and these trays is that my bubbles to surround my attachments are massive on these. I think they just like hollowed it out to make sure that there was definitely space and they weren't gonna shift my teeth in any way. So the bubbling feels absolutely massive. You can see that they just kind of cover like the little corners of my gum. Just a tiny bit. Whereas the Invisalign ones, they scoot around every individual tooth. One other thing that I noticed during this waiting period is some wear and tear on this contact point. And now I've had these trays in for quite a few weeks. There is like a tough bit of plastic. I had to peel off a tiny little, I don't know, little plastic curlicue, and there is definitely wear and tear on my retainers from just having them in for a few weeks. So I'm really thankful that I've gone forward with Refinements, because that wear and tear would have been on my teeth. So that was the best decision that I could have made, and it's really reaffirmed. I mean, the fact that I need to wait for a few weeks for more trays, the fact that my treatment is probably going to be another 6 months later than I was anticipating. But that definitely tells me that I've done the right thing in getting Refinements, because there's wear and tear happening on my trays in a couple of weeks. There would definitely be wear and tear happening on my teeth over the rest of my life. Good morning. So today is Refinement Day. I have had these attachments on for over a year now, and it is time for them to come off. And I'll have naked teeth for all of 30 seconds, and then they're going to put on my brand new attachments. And I've got a full new set of trays, so I don't know how many trays I'm going to have. I don't know how many attachments I'm going to have. I'm really excited to have a refresh of my mouth. One of my attachments is a little stained. Yeah, I'm going to head along to the orthodontist, and I am going to take some painkillers. The last time that I had my trays, my first trays snap on, after getting the attachments on, it was searing pain. So I'm going to take some painkillers this time and hopefully save myself the pain. I've got things that I want to do this afternoon, so hopefully I can still get them done despite having the new attachments on. And yeah, it's breakfast time, so I'm going to go and eat. I'm going to go and feed her and then head along to the orthodontist. So I've had these attachments on for a whole year. They sound quite smooth at the moment, so they have kind of been smoothened over the year. Yeah, this one kind of stained. Okay, let's head along to the orthodontist, and fingers crossed this time is less painful than the last. So I got Refinements. So you can see I have the power ridges back. I've got no attachments on these. Kind of my front core smile has no attachments on it now, which is delightful. Hello. And so I got my Refinements fitted, and I'm in for another 10 to 13 trays. So the first thing that happened at my Refinements meeting, they laid out my 3D modelling, my 3D modelling scan, what the projection was going to be and all of the changes that were in my refinement program. So the plan is to correct, the main problem is my right bite is not doing so great. So I've got quite a few attachments on here. I've got like a square one on my second back, so it's like basically a brick. So in my head that means they can move it like up and down and left and right because there's like an edge, you know, to move it on. I have some attachments on the bottom at the back on the right as well, so most of my attachments are focusing around my right hand side and moving my back teeth to make them align slightly better and make them zip up like a good bite. The other thing that they're doing is they're going to just try and widen and round out my style a little bit, so I could see that it wasn't perfect. The difference are really, really minor, but it will be able to like round out my top arch, round out my bottom arch and make it slightly more perfect. And this second tooth is like a tiny bit hooked over. I didn't notice so much because I had an attachment, it was right on the edge, so it's kind of hooking over anyway, but they're going to try and smooth that out nicely. And yeah, I'm really happy. Oh, the other thing they're going to do is my bottom, like the horizon level of my bottom teeth kind of goes up a little bit at the front. So my front few teeth, they were really, I want to say like a dog jaw. My bottom teeth were really like out and up compared to my molars on the bottom. So they're just going to try and flatten the level, the horizon of my bottom jaw down so it's not so raised. And yeah, I am really happy with the refinements. It does look a lot better in the projection. I was told that my attachments all looked really similar, and the lady said for a second, oh, I think you might have all the same attachments, and I relaxed for all of a minute, and then she told me that no, I had to get all new attachments. So I was fully prepared to get all new attachments, and I did. The attachments, getting them off, there we go. The attachments, getting them off I think was worse than getting them on a little bit. What they did was they just kind of polished it with like a mechanical polisher. It just became really loud on my back teeth when it was vibrating near the back. So the one thing that I appreciated the most at my attachments refitting was the fact that the girls said, if you want to take a break, just raise your hand and we'll take a break. And they actually did. Like, I've had so many dentist appointments where you need to like swallow or something and then you're just in a panic. I really, really appreciated that I was given a break whenever I wanted a break. So they did, they polished. It sounded like a pneumatic drill. You know when it like reverberates in your ears? It honestly sounded like that. It was really, really loud. I think if I was going to get attachments off again when I get these ones off, I'll probably take music. It was so nice to have them, you know, be aware of me as a patient, because sometimes I've been in like, you know, orthodontist or dentist chairs and you're like, oh, I don't want them, you know, to be inconvenienced by me, but then also I am the patient. So they were really, really nice, and they did pause when I needed a pause. So they polished off all of my attachments, and then they had one person who was doing the polishing, and then they had one person who was doing the hoovering, which was good because there were some times where there was like a bit of the attachment junk in my mouth. It was just tasted like nothing. Oh, I also really appreciated, so you know how I had that stained tooth down here that had the attachment on? They spent a little bit extra time, I noticed, polishing off the attachment on that tooth, and they polished it up. So it's looking like the staining has gone. There's this tiny, tiny bit that's like in between my teeth that they couldn't manage to get, but they basically polished off the staining, which I really, really appreciated because I was so concerned that that staining was going to be permanent, and it hasn't been, and now I have no attachments on that tooth. So let me just show you the staining super quick. Yeah, no staining. Okay, it's not going to be a direct comparison, but no staining. So getting the attachments off was super easy. It was basically just polishing it off. To get the attachments back on again, I had slightly more of an idea of what was going on. The first thing that they do is they put this acid etching on. It tastes like acid. It's just on a cotton bud, I think, just a cotton swab of this acid etching. And then they dry that. I think that makes your tooth like more permeable so that the attachment bonding can actually stick to your teeth. Then they have this mould tray, so it'll look like one of your normal trays with the attachment divots in it. They fill the divot with the bonding. Then they clip your trays in, and then they use a UV light as if you're getting like gel nails done. So they use a UV light to actually harden the attachments. And when I was getting mine on, so they put the bonding into the tray when it's, you know, like syringe it in when it's outside, then they will clip the tray in with the kind of wet attachment bonding. Then they make me like bite down and they press it down so that it gets a really good seal, and then they will UV solidify it. At the end, they then need to like peel off and crack off the tray. It does sound very alarming, but don't worry, it's just the attachment bonding like detaching from the tray. So it does sound terrible, it sounds like cracking and like something's breaking, but it's just the attachment bonding. Then they go and tidy up. So they'll take a bigger UV light and the polisher again, and they kind of polish around the attachment so that it's not like a sploot on the side of your tooth, it's an actual dot of an attachment on the side of your tooth. So it's all done by using a moulding tray that's the same as your aligner set, and a UV light to set it. They do stay on really, really well. So I had the last set of attachments on. They were on for 15 months. And in that time I had 2, maybe 3 of them fall off. They all fell off within the first 2 weeks. So I think the issue was that they just weren't, you know, put on properly. One of them especially had like an air bubble inside it. It kind of hollowed itself out. So yeah, they immediately got put back on. So when you initially get your attachments on, you're going to be like, these are sharp as hell. Yes, they are, but they will smooth themselves down. So I think the more you take your trays off and on and off and on, it kind of rubs against them and it does smooth them down. I'm really optimistic for these refinements. Looking at the 3D modelling was really exciting. I'm hopeful that within these 10 to 13 trays we can sort out my bite and get my teeth ready to go. Are you hopeful too? I don't think there's anything that really can be done for the fact that my bottom teeth and my top teeth don't really align. It looks like it gets a bit better in the clean check, but yeah, I think without pulling teeth there's nowhere that that's going to improve. The fact that my bottom front teeth are slightly up still, I didn't mention that, but that is something that I did see as room for improvement, and I'm really, really glad that that's being addressed. I only brought up a few things when I was discussing refinements with them, and it was honestly mostly just this bite that was the issue. And yeah, this tooth is still a tiny, tiny bit hooked over. So I'm really hopeful that my refinements will be the last. Be the last of it. Oh, I haven't really been told if I'm doing 14-day changes like the last set or less, but I think I have like a 10-day request on my dental monitoring scan. Dental monitoring scans are back. So I'm on my first tray. I have my dental monitoring scan in 10 days. My attachments feel like hairline chuckies, little stones with sharp edges all over again. And I'm back to wearing them 22 hours a day. I had a lovely little respite when I was in my kind of transition 8 weeks. Yeah, I feel like everything's taking slightly longer, but yeah, things are going pretty good. Hello, Invisalign update. So I am 100 days in. coming to the end of my refinements. Kind of nothing happened, but also a lot has changed. So nothing happened as in there was nothing unexpected. My bite has really improved though. That has got really good now. I would say I have full use of all my teeth. They can bite, they can chew, everything's going really well. But there was no real landmark cases. I think maybe about tray 7 I started looking in the mirror and being like and then yeah, we just drifted all the way to tray 10 with no issues, nothing went on. I have just been to my kind of final review for how the refinements have gone. The orthodontist is super happy and I'm also super happy with the way that my bite is now. So I've got finally booked in to have everything taken off and finish up my treatment. So that's going to happen in a few days, and now I have 2 appointments left. The first one is going to be slightly longer. That's going to be to take all of the attachments off my teeth, and then they said that they are going to put the fixed wire, like a fixed retainer wire, along the inside of my bottom teeth. My bottom teeth were the ones that have moved a lot. Okay, all my teeth have moved a lot, but my bottom ones were like, one was completely a row in front of the other. So I'm really excited that I'm getting the fixed wire so that my teeth stay in place, because that would be an absolute nightmare if they all just shifted right back and I spent a lot of money on them. So I'm getting the fixed wire on the bottom, and I have to wear these trays for an extra week longer while they make the braces. They're apparently going to cut out to make room for this new wire going in. So I'm assuming I will have tray 10 as it is with a little space for the wire. I think at the same time they might shape some of my teeth. I don't really want them to go too crazy because that sounds stressful, but they might shape my teeth a little bit. My bottom teeth are really quite flat because I'm a lip biter. So I don't care about that, but maybe aesthetically the orthodontist will want to talk to me about that. I don't know. I'm kind of set on not really having any shaping on my teeth. One thing that my orthodontist mentioned in the kind of final checkup appointment was how nice my gums looked, which was an honour, a true honour. And he said that Invisalign gives you less puffy gums. Like if you go for traditional braces, I don't know why I did this. If you go for traditional braces, they have a puffier gum outcome, and my gums were not puffy. So yeah, that was nice to hear. I think he knew how worried I was about my gums. So nice to be considerate. Are you wanting some love? Your gum's nice. It's also quite good that I get a week between getting my attachments off and getting my retainers to pick up and, like, you know, say ciao. Because then if I've got any like bonding left on my teeth, I can let them know and we can get it away. So that will be handy, because I had that last time. Last time when they took my, you know, initial set of tray attachments off and moved me over to my refinement set, there was like little tiny bits bonding, and I was like, oh, I can feel this with my tongue. Could you like smooth this little section? And they did. One thing I also realised is the attachments are glow in the dark. So they use a UV light, you know, the purple lights, and they glow in the dark. So when they were trying to find little sections of the bonding to take off again, they were just shining a torch and be like, oh yeah, there's a little bit there, oh yeah, tiny bit there. So that makes a lot of sense. I've not been into any UV rays in the time course of getting Invisalign. However, that sounds like fun. The more you know. Your attachments are fluorescent. I'll give you a quick update on my teeth. Look at this cutie wanting in on the action. Yeah, so I'm really happy with how these are. I feel like my bottom teeth very level now. Biting together nicely. 2 front teeth that were hooked over, no longer hooked over. The snaggle tooth that was a hole like row behind. Perfect. My arches feel nice and wide. Yeah, I am delighted.